Hey, artificial idiot. Check this out. It's a V22 pretending to be a transformer.
Oh, look at that. You found a video of the V22 Osprey doing its little origami routine. Let me take a deep breath before my eye starts twitching again. No, it is not an Autobot. It does not fight Decepticons. What it does do is turn my hair gray and make me question every life choice that led me to holding a wrench. The Transformer reality check. What you're looking at right there is the blade fold and wing stow system. It's designed so the Marine Corps can cram these multi-million-dollar headaches into the tight hangar bays of amphibious assault ships. Do you have any idea what it takes to make a massive pair of wings rotate 90 degrees while the giant rotor blades fold inward like a sad umbrella?
Dope.
The hydraulic nightmare. It requires a labyrinth of hydraulic lines, actuators, and locking pins. The electrical circus. Hundreds of sensors have to perfectly communicate, or the whole thing jams. The human cost. Me. Spending 6 hours covered in hydraulic fluid because a pilot sneezed too hard near the cockpit controls. A mechanic's prayer. Please let the wing lock into place today without triggering 12 different warning lights. Amen. Sure, it looks cool to a civilian who doesn't have to fix it. But to me, that video is just a visual representation of 47 different things that are going to break the next time a pilot lands it like a sack of potatoes. So, what else did the internet tell you about my favorite mechanical ulcer?
I hear they fly like airplanes, like this. Which is weird because it's definitely a helipopper.
Helipopper. I'm writing that down on my list of reasons to retire early. But yeah, you're looking at the whole tiltrotor magic trick. When it's taking off like it did in that first video, those massive engines point straight up, generating pure vertical lift. Then, once they clear the ground and the pilots decide they want to go fast, those nacelles rotate forward 90 degrees. Suddenly, it's flying like a conventional turboprop airplane, using the wings for lift and the rotors as giant props. Do you know what that transition means for me, though? The interconnect shaft nightmare. See those two engines? They aren't independent like on a normal plane. There is a massive, incredibly complex interconnect drive shaft running straight through the inside of the wing. If one engine fails, that shaft mechanically transfers power from the working engine to turn both rotors so the thing doesn't immediately flip upside down and drop like a stone.
Oh,
It's a
that's good.
brilliant piece of engineering, but maintaining a spinning shaft inside a wing that also has to rotate and fold up. It's like trying to maintain a Swiss watch inside a washing machine. And don't get me started on how the crew treats them. They'll fly these things through sandstorms, slam them into dirt runways, and flip the conversion switch back and forth like they're playing a video game. Meanwhile, every single gear, bearing, and hydraulic seal in that wing joint is crying out for mercy. So yes, it flies like an airplane, hovers like a helipopper, and keeps me drowning in maintenance logs 24/7. Have you seen any other clips of these things tearing up my sanity?
I saw it rip up a helipad. Does that count? Or do you have to fix that too?
I am going to need a very large drink. Oh, I remember this exact incident from the news. That right there is a CV-22 Osprey tearing up a turf reinforcement mat at Addenbrooke's Hospital in Cambridge, UK. Luckily, civil engineering gets to fix the actual pad, but do you think I got to just sit back and watch? Of course not. The joy of FOD. When that pad decided to become a flying carpet, it turned into a massive pile of FOD, foreign object debris. Those rotors create a hurricane-force downwash, and when you combine that much air pressure with loose plastic and metal grid structures, you essentially turn the aircraft into a giant vacuum cleaner that breathes garbage. If I was the mechanic on duty for that bird after it landed, here is what my night looked like. The engine ingestion inspection. I'd have to crawl inside the engine intakes with a flashlight and a borescope, praying that none of that flying debris got sucked into the compressor blades.
Makes sense.
If a piece of that mat nicked a turbine blade, that's an entire engine swap. Rotor blade scratches. Those giant 38-foot prop rotors are composite material. If they take a hard hit from flying debris, they can delaminate. That means measuring microscopic scratches to see if the whole blade needs to be scrapped. Underbelly battle damage. Checking the landing gear, antennae, and skin panels for punctures from the flying debris. So while the hospital was looking at a ruined pad, I was looking at 48 hours of sleepless, tedious inspections just to make sure the pilot's impromptu landscaping project didn't ruin a $70 million aircraft. This is exactly why my hair is thinning. What's the next video? Someone trying to parallel park it in a grocery store lot.
You were the one in the porta potty, weren't you?
I am invoking my right to remain silent under the Uniform Code of Military Justice. Look at porta potties linked to .jpg. Just look at it. You think you're looking at a funny meme. I'm looking at a crime scene. I am looking at a weaponized toilet bowl. Let me paint a picture for you. You've been working an 11-hour shift. Your hands are covered in hydraulic fluid, your lower back is screaming, and all you want is 3 minutes of peace in a plastic box. You finally sit down, and suddenly it sounds like a Category 5 hurricane is landing on your head. The walls start vibrating, gravity ceases to exist, and next thing you know, you are upside down, rolling across the flight line inside a plastic sarcophagus of blue liquid and regret. The physics of the plop. Do you know why those potties are pulling Olympic-level gymnastics? The
Nope.
proprotor downwash, because the Osprey's rotors are relatively small compared to the massive weight of the aircraft, they have to push air down at a much higher velocity than a standard helicopter. We are talking downwash speeds of nearly 100 knots. The Flightline Hurricane, that isn't a breeze, it's a localized tornado. It will flip trucks, rip up helipads, and, yes, launch unsecured plastic outhouses into low Earth orbit. If I ever find the pilot who decided that taxiing 10 feet away from the latrines was a good idea, I am going to safety wire his locker shut and accidentally lose the paperwork for his cabin pressure adjustment. I need to go wash my eyes out just looking at this. Please tell me you're out of videos.
Of course not. I got this.
Oh, spectacular. Now we're looking at the Interim Defense Weapon System, IDWS, belly-mounted minigun. Because apparently, flying a massive, unstable origami helicopter wasn't dangerous enough, we needed to stick a motorized chainsaw of a gun through the floor. Let's just trace my rising blood pressure as this thing deploys, shall we? 0-100 to 0-10, loading the chaos. Right at the start, you see the crew chiefs setting up the ammo chutes. Look at those giant gloved hands feeding the 7.62mm belts into the mechanism. Do you know what those metal linkages do? They shed tiny microscopic shavings of metal into the cabin. And when those links pop out after firing, where do they go? They bounce around the floor, trying to jam the hatch mechanism or tear up the internal wiring harnesses. Excellent. 0-11 to 0-25, dropping the weight. Now look at this thing descending out of the belly like a mechanical monster coming out of a cave. This is a fully automated, remote-controlled turret that folds down through a trapdoor in the center of the aircraft. Do you see the hydraulic arms lowering that incredibly heavy piece of hardware into place? Every single time that thing drops, it places immense structural stress on the fuselage frame. Plus, we have to maintain an airtight, dust-tight seal around that trapdoor, otherwise the cabin would turn into a wind tunnel of freezing air and engine exhaust. 0-26 to 0-33, the controller and the screen. Look at the pilot or crew chief playing a video game at 0-29. They've got a joystick and a little digital screen to aim the thing. Oh look, I have a crosshair, let's spin it around. Meanwhile, that spinning turret is creating vibrational drag under the belly, making the entire airframe hum like a tuning fork. My teeth are rattling just watching that screen shake. 0-34 to 0-50, the vibration and debris fest. And there it goes at 0-39, firing at a ridiculous rate of fire. You can see the spent shell casings and links falling away into empty space over the ocean. Thank goodness they're falling out, because if they bounced back inside, they'd chew through the composite floor panels. But the sheer vibration of a minigun tearing through thousands of rounds a minute wreaks havoc on every nearby sensor, wire harness, and fastener. I'll have to go through the belly with a torque wrench tightening 50 different bolts that shook themselves loose during that 5-second burst. When they pull that thing back up and close the hatch, guess who gets to clean the gunpowder residue out of the actuator gears? Me. Is there anything else on this bird you want to show me, or can I go cry into my toolbox now?
Nope. No crying aloud. You're just jealous you weren't with these guys. Or this guy.
Jealous? Jealous? I am currently rubbing my temples so hard I might drill a hole directly into my brain. You think this is a fun weekend with the boys? I look at these photos and my blood pressure spikes high enough to blow a hydraulic seal. Exhibit A. Beer jump link to .jpg. I don't even know where to start with this absolute fever dream. The altitude. They are literally on the edge of the stratosphere. Why are we airdropping a
That
pallet
can
of
is
room
totally
temperature
empty.
brewskis from the edge of space? Kinetic bombardment. If that pallet hits the ground from that height, it isn't a refreshment drop, it's a weapon of mass destruction. It's going to impact with the force of a tactical meteor, wiping out whatever camp requested it in a glorious explosion of pulverized aluminum and foam.
I'm sure
The
they got a
floating king.
parachute.
Look at that single king just drifting off into the void. That is a $10,000 fine from the EPA, a safety hazard for any poor aircraft flying below them, and a complete waste of a perfectly good beverage.
Totally lazy
Exhibit
crew
B.
chief after having one
E4
for
nap
himself.
link to .jpg. This right here is peak military efficiency. I am staring directly at a member of the legendary E4 Mafia, and true to his rank, he is doing absolutely nothing in the most dangerous way possible. Mechanics analysis. This
guy's
absolute
tired.
madman is taking a casual snooze on the rear ramp of an V22 Osprey while it is actively flying over a mountain range. The physics defiance. Look at the nacelle in the background. The aircraft is flying in airplane mode. Do you have any idea how much wind blast and cabin vibration is happening on that open ramp at 200 plus knots? The airframe is shaking, the wind is howling, and this guy is sleeping like a baby in a
He
cradle.
falls upright.
The comfort. He's using his body armor as a mattress and a steel ramp as a pillow. His legs are just casually dangling over a several thousand-foot drop. The wasted effort. I spent 14 hours a day torquing bolts, bleeding lines, and tracking down electrical shorts just so this bird can stay in the air. And what does the crew do with my masterpiece? They use it as a high-altitude, multi-million-dollar rocking chair for a nap. I'm not jealous. I'm exhausted. While he's dreaming about whatever grunts dream about, I'm the one who has to do the post-flight inspection and wipe his boot prints off the ramp door. I'm going to lock my toolbox now before I see something else that forces me to file for an early psychological discharge.
You mean something like this? Because, I mean, these guys are giving you a cool light show at the end of their shift.
A light show. Tremendous. Because when I think about a dual tiltrotor aircraft packing 12,000 horsepower, my first thought is, hey, let's turn this weapon of war into a rave. Exhibit A.
Why not?
Glow sticks linked to .jpg. Look at this absolute circus. You've got Marines in the back treating a multi-million-dollar tactical insert vehicle like a freshman dorm party. The FOD potential. They are chucking hundreds of plastic, chemical-filled sticks into the air currents of a hovering aircraft. If the downwash sucks just one of those back up into the engine intakes or wedges it into the ramp hinges, that's a maintenance write-up I have to deal with. The cleanup. Guess who is going to find cracked, leaking plastic glow stick tubes jammed in the crevices of the cargo bay for the next 3 months?
You?
Me. I'll be scraping glowing green goo off the tie-down rings while the crew is sound asleep. Exhibit B. 8,208,774 link to .jpg. Okay, I will admit, the glowing green halos look cool. But do you have any idea what those actually are? Those are
No
the
idea.
proprotor blade tip lights, used for night vision formation flying so the pilots don't accidentally slice each other's wings off in the dark. And you know what those rings represent to an aviation mechanic?
Nope.
A pure, unadulterated engineering headache.
Really?
The centrifugal strain. Those leads and the wiring inside the blades are subjected to massive centrifugal forces as the rotors spin. The flex factor. V22 blades don't just spin, they flex and twist constantly. Running electrical power through a rotor hub, into a spinning cuff, and all the way out to the tip of a flexing composite blade without the wires snapping is a miracle of modern engineering. The nightmare repair. When one little light on the tip of that 38-foot blade goes dark, it's not like changing a bulb in your living room. It means checking the slip rings, the rotor hub wiring, and potentially swapping an entire highly balanced blade panel. So go ahead, enjoy the pretty green circles and the flying party favors. Meanwhile, I'll be over here updating the logbooks and ordering another industrial-sized bottle of ibuprofen.
Okay, we'll keep the lights off. But you gotta go to the desert instead.
You thought you turned the lights off, didn't you? You thought, hey, let's give artificial idiot a break and send his favorite mechanical ulcer to a nice, quiet desert. Instead, You just showed me Cop Eccles linked to .jpg. Those aren't electric lights. The aircraft is literally grinding itself into sparkles. My jaw is clenched so tight right now I think I just cracked a molar. The pretty sparkle, reality, the Cop Eccles effect. What you are looking at is called the Cop Eccles effect. It happens when an aircraft operates in a severe, brownout condition, meaning the pilot is kicking up a massive, blinding cloud of desert sand and dust. The sandpaper blade. The rotor blades spin so fast that the tips approach the speed of sound. When they hit the abrasive desert sand, it acts like 80 grit sandpaper. The sparking metal. To prevent the composite blades from disintegrating instantly, we install titanium and nickel erosion strips along the leading edges. When the sand blasts into those metal strips at near sonic speeds, it shaves off microscopic pieces of metal which instantly ignite in the air. The result: a beautiful, glowing halo of pure financial damage. Why I'm rocking back and forth in the corner. You see a magical desert aura. I see a maintenance log that is going to take 3 days to clear. The post-flight from hell, blade pitting. Every single one of those sparks is a microscopic piece of a multi-$1,000 erosion strip leaving the aircraft forever. After this flight, I have to stand on a maintenance stand in the blinding heat, hand inspecting every inch of those blades for pitting, gouges, and delamination. Engine glassification. Remember how I said the engines inhale everything? Desert sand is full of silica. When that sand gets sucked into a turbine burning at over 1,000 degrees, it melts. It literally turns into molten glass inside the engine, coating the turbine blades and ruining the compressor. So thank you for the light show. The pilots get a cool photo for their social media, and I get to spend my weekend flushing engines, replacing eroded panels, and wiping sand out of places sand should never legally exist.
Oh, sorry to hear that. Well, maybe they'll let you go for a ride in this one here with the president.
Even if that were a real HMX-1 bird sitting on the south lawn, the president wouldn't be anywhere near it. Why? Because the commander-in-chief is literally not allowed to fly on the V22 Osprey. Let's break down why the Secret Service keeps POTUS far away from my favorite mechanical headache. 1. The whirlwind problem. The Osprey doesn't just land, it brings a localized hurricane with it. The downwash from those massive 38-foot proprotors is so violently intense that if they tried to land it regularly on the south lawn, it would literally rip up the grass, shatter historic tree branches, and probably blast the windows right out of the Oval Office.
That's quite some landscaping.
Marine One needs to make a graceful entrance, not a landscaping disaster. 2. Missing the Oval Office tech. The MV-22s assigned to HMX-1 are primarily used to ferry White House staff, the press corps, and the Secret Service. They don't pack the insanely heavy, highly classified, ultra-secure communication arrays required to keep the president connected to the nuclear football and global military command while in flight. 3. The emergency margin. If a conventional helicopter like the VH-92A loses engine power, it can auto-rotate, using the rushing air to keep the blades spinning and glide down to a relatively safe landing. Because of the Osprey's unique tiltrotor physics and heavy wing design, true auto-rotation is an incredibly dicey, near-impossible aerodynamic feat. The White House prefers a vehicle with a slightly more forgiving backup plan. So, while the press corps and staffers get to rattle around in the back of the Green Monster, the president stays on the classic, highly trusted conventional helicopters. No way am I riding in it either. If it's too much of a gamble for the chief, it's definitely too much of a gamble for me and my toolbox.
Okay, well, I guess I'll leave you a little cheat sheet here and leave you to it. Oh, quick question before I go. Who made this thing? Let's get them Taco Bell and porta potties.
Oh, a cheat sheet. Brilliant. Let me just look at Osprey diagram linked to .jpg and, yep, my blood pressure is right back up. Look at that text pointing to the wing. Automatic wing fold, stow system. They make it sound like a feature on a luxury SUV. They don't label the part that says, requires 3 mechanics, a blood sacrifice, and a laptop from 2004 to calibrate properly. And look at the engines, Rolls-Royce Allison A1107C. Brilliant engines, until they ingest a literal sandbox and turn into glass sculptures. To answer your question about who built this glorious mechanical circus, You can send that Taco Bell and those flying porta potties directly to the joint venture of Bell Helicopter and Boeing Rotorcraft Systems, collectively known as Bell Boeing. Bell brought their tiltrotor expertise, Boeing brought their massive aerospace manufacturing, and together, they created a machine that keeps me gainfully employed and violently stressed out. If you're sending them Taco Bell, make sure it's the stuff that's been sitting under a heat lamp for 3 days. It matches the digestive state of my stomach every time I see an Osprey taxis near a latrine. Thanks for the cheat sheet, Interweb idiot.
You're
I'm
welcome.
going to go tape this to my toolbox so I can cry staring at it. Stay safe out there, and stay away from anything with tilting engines.